We have the actual human and dinosaur footprints, some overlapping each other. There's beauty in knowing that we have the actual scientific evidence that does destroy evolutionary theory. Now, let me be quick to admit, we have to define terms. If we're talking about microbe to man, with frog, tadpoles, and fish and dinosaurs in between, that's macroevolution. There is no evidence whatsoever to support that. But if we're talking about variation within the genetic boundaries, that's microevolution, and there's a lot of evidence to support that. But that is an information that's already in place, and that's variation within the genetic information that's there. That's microevolution. That's no problem whatsoever. In fact, I vary about 10 pounds a month, depending on my schedule. I have kids. They all look different. They all have their own unique personalities, yet they're out of the same common stock. Now, what the evolutionary community doesn't want to admit is that the only real, and they do admit this in the fine print, the only real change we find is in the information already in place, but what they don't want to admit is that that change always runs downhill. It's loss of information. We can reshuffle the information and we can get a temporary benefit, like in the cattle industry. You can reshuffle the information, get more milk or less milk, more fat, less fat, leaner beef, more marbled beef, by shuffling the information there. Right, Tracy? You folks run, you run cattle and raise kids, right? So you can shuffle that. You have to know what you're doing, and you can get a superior product. But watch this. Do you really get a superior product? How many in here run cattle? Good, only one. Professor Tracy. She's an educator. I always enjoyed going to the class out there. Tell me, what kind of cattle do you run? Angus. Oh, good, good. Marbled beef, right? All right, that's superior. Okay. Tell me, how many calves can you get out of a good cow, Angus cow, in her whole lifetime? How many calves, roughly?
Maybe, well, you get one every gestational season, probably till she's maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah, 12, maybe 13. And you knew the answer by experience. I mean, if you Googled it, you'll get the same answer. So maybe 13, but that's a very fine cow. But what if you cut down all the fences? You wouldn't have your black Angus very long. In 3 generations, if you cut down all the fences, just let all the neighbors' bulls and cows and yours and everything run together, in about 3 generations, you'd be back to the longhorn steer. Does anybody in this audience know how many calves you can get out of a longhorn cow? 23. And that's from those who have experience. Do you run longhorns?
I work cattle a lot. I don't have any of my own, but I know cattle.
Yeah, good. So 23 out of a, so in other words, the broader the genetic boundary is, the more superior the product is. Now, Longhorn may or may not give you marbled beef, I don't know, but you get a limited superior product with the Black Angus or the Hereford or Guernsey, whatever. Superior product. But if you want that thing to keep going in the next generation, and have a chance to survive, the Longhorn's better. So the whole point is, we can limit, we can shuffle that genetic information, but we limit it and it runs downhill. 23 to 12, it runs downhill. Now let me give you another illustration of this. I'm glad you're here today. Do you know the most beautiful people in the world? Our grandkids. Yeah, or great-grandkids. The most beautiful. Here, we give them the best education, the best cell phones, the best digital potential. But do you know what we are doing? Even though we give them information we didn't have, we give them privileges we didn't have. The latest genetic studies show that every generation accumulates on average 100 detrimental genes that the parents didn't have. We now have accumulated over 16,000 detrimental genes, errors in the copying mechanism. And the geneticists admit in the technical literature that once the human race reaches 20,000 genetic errors, it will no longer be viable. So here we have these beautiful kids and these more beautiful grandkids, and we think we're providing for them the ultimate. Well, we can provide the ultimate opportunity, but we're giving them a life with less potential than we had. What does all that say? All of that says we didn't evolve. That says we started with a superior stock that is deteriorating along the way.